Hey there. Welcome to Discover the Divine You. My name is Kimberly Nicole. Right now I'm on a journey to figure out who the real Kimberly Nicole is, who I was divinely created to be. So I created this podcast in hopes others could benefit from what I'm learning and the different ways I'm connecting with a higher power. I created this space for honest conversations about healing, creativity, spiritual growth, and learning to reconnect with myself while living presently in my life. I'm a mom of 3. I have a job. I'm in 12-step recovery. Real life happens every day. So this is a space of no pressure, no expectations, no perfection, just progress. A journey towards finding peace, clarity, and connection to something bigger than ourselves, going from chaos to calm. So here we go. I'm so glad you're here to take this journey with me. Let's get creative. Episode 19, Dance Naked Under the Moon. Hello, and welcome back. This is Discover the Divine You. I am Kimberly Nicole, and today we are going to talk about open-mindedness. And I know that concept seems pretty cut and dry, really easy, I guess, to comprehend, but I feel like it's not as easy to do. And I found it really hard growing up to be open-minded. I don't know about anyone else, but I feel like when I was younger growing up, there was a lot of just very black and white thinking that things either were or they weren't. And at this point in my life, the only black and white is God either is or he isn't. The rest of it is very different. And today I don't live that black and white life. I have lots of color, lots of gray, lots of shading, lots of different hues, if you will, in my way of thinking. And I owe a lot of that to the 12 steps because program really taught me to have an open mind. I remember going into my first meeting, I was kind of terrified because I thought they're going to make me dance naked under the moon and try to steal all my money and change my religion. And at that point in my life, the idea of questioning anything I had learned growing up was like blasphemy. And today, I believe my higher power wants me to ask questions and have curiosity. So I don't really follow things blindly because I'm told to or because someone says that it's right for them. It doesn't make it right for me. And my mind is so much more open, and I find myself criticizing less and judging less and just loving people more. And I have made friendships with people I never would have before program. And, you know, there's so much good that happens in those rooms because we don't talk about outside stuff in the rooms. Not like we don't bring our issues into the rooms, but like we don't get into politics and religion and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that you can't have a varying opinion from someone or that we just like bury our realness and pretend in the rooms. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's just we talk about the stuff that really gets to the core of why we're hurting ourselves with addictive behaviors. And I'm not saying politics aren't important. I'm not saying it's not important to be aware of what's happening in the world. And yay, if you have a religion, I'm a member of a religion. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think that where we start to get, misguided, or no matter how well our intentions are, we sometimes alienate people because they don't think the way we think, or we judge them and we verbally attack them because they don't think the way they think. And I've heard people say things like, you're stupid for feeling that way. And how dare you, say that, and many, many other things in way worse ways. And I just don't really get that. It doesn't really make sense to my brain because I have a higher power who loves everyone, no matter what their choices are, no matter what their beliefs are. My higher power loves everybody. And two, it's like, okay, I want the right to feel and think and act the way I want to, but I'm getting mad at you for thinking and feeling and acting the way you want to. So that doesn't really make sense. That's like me telling my kid not to yell by yelling at them. I'm teaching them that yelling is okay by yelling. So I prefer living by example and not being a hypocrite. And I'm not saying everyone who speaks up for themselves is not doing it right, because there are a lot of people who stand up for what they believe in, and they're very kind and they're very calm. I've also noticed that people with open minds, they live happier lives. They allow people to think and feel the way they are, and they don't let it become their problem. I found myself today making my husband's feelings my problem. And sure, I want him to be happy. I don't want him to be upset or sad or whatever, especially at my hand or something that I said. So I for sure want to not go out of my way to be mean or vindictive or hurt him in any way. But when I do something unintentionally and it affects him in a negative way, or he's upset, I don't have to take his feelings on me. And I used to think that that was kind of part of loving people and being open-minded and accepting that, like, I had to take on everybody's stuff and try to fix it. But I know now that that's me trying to play the higher power, and I am absolutely not a higher power. I do not have infinite, abundant ways of handling things and healing them. I am simply a human, and the best I can ever achieve on this planet is human. That's the highest level I can achieve here. So I might as well allow myself to be human. And I'm a human being, not a human doing. I used to believe that if I wasn't doing something, that it wasn't worth something. And that is false, because my worth does not change. So I've gotten really curious, which led to a just much more open mind and open way of thinking. The idea of everyone having their own higher power when I first got in the program was like, I'm waiting for someone to get struck by lightning, because I grew up feeling like there's one God, or believing that there's one God and that's it. And whether or not that's true, I today feel like it's more important to recognize that whether there's one God or 1,000 gods, every person understands and connects with God in their own way. It's very individual. Like any gospel is individual in my eyes because of the way we connect to God and our higher power. You know, I talked about that in another episode, that, you know, there's different ways to connect, and having an open mind that it's okay to try different ways was scary for me at first, but today it's really awesome, because I've recognized in trying these different ways of connecting with higher power that my higher power is everywhere. It really doesn't matter what I do or what I say or how I say it. If I'm looking for my higher power in my life, I will find them. And that's magical. That really is magical. So I think people sometimes believe that if they have an open mind, that they're encouraging, I don't know, sometimes people think that they're encouraging bad behavior. I think that's the opposite. I think the more we allow each other to be ourselves, the less combative people become, the less angry and there's less power struggle. I've learned that a lot with my kids. Like, they have a difference of opinion, between a child and a parent. They think they should be able to do this, and I think they should be able to do this, because I've seen what this can do, and I don't want them to be unsafe. So I use my experience, strength, and hope to make the best possible decisions to protect my family, while also allowing them to make their own choices. But there's some times where I have to say no, and they aren't gonna like it. And then there's other times where I get the feeling like, okay, Kimberly, you need to sit down and you need to listen to their why. Like, what's their why? Find out why this is so important to them. Why this is something that they feel so strongly that they need to do. And I learned so much from my kids, because sometimes they have really brilliant ideas. And honestly, I think most of the time kids' ideas are way more brilliant than adults, because they're way closer to the spirit than adults are, because we've been far away from Neverland for way too long, that we've forgotten how to use our imaginations. We've forgotten how to think outside of the box. We've been taught to stay in a box and just do our best to like it there. And I've never been one to feel good about being in a box, but I've also wanted people to like me. So it's been an internal battle for like my whole life, to be myself, but don't be myself. Only be the parts of myself that other people like. And I don't like that either. So even having a closed mind about myself is a thought process that I've had to change and allow to exist. Because a lot of it isn't even like about changing myself or finding myself or healing myself or fixing myself. It's really just about allowing myself to be myself. And that took a huge open mind for me, that like I could be me no matter what people say. Like, ooh, I don't know about that. That was really pretty terrifying for me. And it wasn't until I started like letting go, like all the things we've talked about so far, like I'm powerless, my life is unmanageable, having hope and faith and not being afraid and being brave and having courage and all that stuff. Like, I had to really sit down and understand, like, my higher power is in charge. My higher power created me in a way that was like perfectly imperfect. And all of these defaults of character that I had, I thought were my problem. I had to fix it. I had to do this. But really, like, once I opened my mind to different ideas and thoughts, I realized that all those things that I've packed on myself and like that my brain has tried to use to protect me, they're not serving me. They're hurting me now. And keeping my mind closed and not questioning anything or anyone and just blindly following things and people, it's not me. It's just not me. Like, sure, I would love it if everybody got along and we all loved each other unconditionally. But if there's a dude that's being an a-hole to me and I'm an a-hole back, I'm perpetuating that negative behavior. Like, my new way of thinking is, okay, this guy's an a-hole. He needs extra love, right? Maybe. And I will give him whatever I can to show him that he is loved, as long as I'm safe, right? The distance between me and another person that allows us both to be loved and protected is where my mind has to be focused. Not on changing that person, not on being something that they're gonna like or acting a certain kind of way. It's just about, okay, what is the distance between me and them where I can be me and they can be them? And I don't have any anger or resentment. And there are people out there who use their their powers for good and some that use their powers for evil. Like, there's so many people out there on social media who are telling you one thing and doing another, and others who are amazing and inspirational and encourage you to be yourself. And there's so many out there. Elise Myers is one of my favorites. I just love her. She says such profound things unapologetically, and she showed me, like, watching her videos helped me understand that, like, I'm not too much, and that if people think I'm too much, then they can go find less. I mean, that video changed the way I looked at myself and other people. It opened my mind and gave me a different way of looking at stuff. And I love that. I think more of us need to do that. So that's my challenge for today, is for you to go out and maybe something that you've been digging your heels on, like, just entertain the idea that maybe you could think of it in a different way. Have a more open mind about it. And also share your feelings on it. You know, talking about our feelings really gets to me to the real point of why I'm feeling or thinking that way, and why I'm digging my heels in. Like, why am I being so stubborn about this? And usually it has to do with a fear or a resentment, mostly a fear. And, you know, what's the harm in letting someone think the way they want to think? I don't know. But I do know that when I love other people unconditionally, that gives me permission to love myself unconditionally, and vice versa. And hopefully gives them permission to love themselves unconditionally, and then they'll love more people unconditionally. And then there's just way more love in the world. And I'm pretty sure it needs that. So with that, I will sign off, and I will see you tomorrow for yet another 90 and 90. And I hope you have an amazing day, because you deserve it. Bye. Hey, thanks so much for being here today. You're my favorite. I'm so glad you came. I know life is busy, so I really do appreciate the time you're taking to do some self-care and hang out with me for a little bit. If something that we talked about today resonated with you and you want to dig a little deeper, I put together a 5-minute creative reset guide called Chaos to Calm that you can access in the show's description. And I would be so grateful if you'd subscribe and share this podcast with someone out there that you think could benefit from what we're creating here together. Also, remember, I am just sharing my experience, strength, and hope as I understand it here. So if bigger emotions come up, please take care of yourself and reach out to a licensed professional or someone that you trust for support. You are not alone in this. So until we create together again, please be kind to yourself and do something creative, because you deserve it.